Hello, Mark Lowdy here at IPBC Asia 2014, coming to you from Shanghai. It's been 3 years since Google bought Motorola's patent portfolio for $12.5 billion, and it recently sold that patent portfolio again to Lenovo for less than $3 billion. Now, the series of transactions suggests that Google either overpaid for those patents or that it wasn't able to leverage those patents as much as it would have liked. The man at Google who takes care of patent licensing, purchasing and sales is Kirk Dailey, and he joined Google as part of the Motorola acquisition. IPBC's Lloyd started the conversation by asking him how different Google's approach is to patents compared to Motorola's.
Say that, but at Motorola, you're right. Intellectual property and patents were a very important part of the Motorola business. They had been ingrained in it for many, many years. I think with Google, it's a maturing organization. It's a young company. Patents are very important. We now have 54,000 patents and applications on a worldwide basis, so we have a significant patent portfolio with a significant budget, and so there is importance within Google. We do treat it importantly.
It's a new team at Google, so how have you gone about getting buy-in from the rest of the business?
So we have spent many afternoons and evenings talking to Sergey and Larry about what we envision and how we want to use our patents to provide the freedom of action for the Google businesses as far as we can.
The Motorola deal was obviously very significant for Google. $12.5 billion, covering 17,000 patents, most of which you've held on to subsequently with the sale of the rest of the business to Lenova. But how do you determine the value that you get from a deal like that?
So there's different ways of looking at it. I think the value is still to be borne out to a certain degree, but it wasn't $12.5 billion for the patents. There were significant businesses that came along with it. There was cash, several $1 billion worth of cash. And so when you net it all out, there was a couple $1 billion spent for patents. And we've been able to manage the Apple and Microsoft threats to the Android ecosystem better because of the Motorola acquisition. And then we've also brought over a team of experts to help leverage the Google assets and find freedom of action. So there's continuing to build value associated with the Motorola patents as well as with the Motorola team that came over.
Just staying on the deal side, the Motorola deal was done shortly after the Nortel acquisition, which was bought by the Rockstar Consortium. That's obviously seen as a very heady time for patent transactions involving many billions of dollars. How would you now characterize the patent deals market 3 years on from those deals?
So I think the deal market is cooling a bit. I think there's been more of a run to quality. There's been certainly a lot of litigation and uncertainty over damages and expectations from damages through litigation. So I think people are maybe moving away from filing, at least in the U.S., filing a lot of litigation without purpose. So we've seen some slowdown in litigation. We've also seen the patent office taking patent quality more seriously. Google has developed a patent prior art finder to help people, ourselves as well as others, find the prior art to make sure there's quality patents in the marketplace. So I think there's been a drive to quality. As a result, there's probably less deals on less quality patents, lower quality patents.
Can you see a shift perhaps in the medium term when we go back to those sort of times when you see large portfolios, large patent assets moving for many billions of dollars, or do you think the market will remain depressed?
I think it's hard to predict the future. I think the market had those, you called it the heady times or whatever. There were multi-billion-dollar deals that could be in the future as well, depending on where companies come from and how fast they grow and what portfolios they have. So I could see in the future, it may not be in telecom, it may not be in mobile, it may be in healthcare, or it could be in automotive, where there's a disruption in the ecosystem, and then there's natural wars that come as a result with respect to patents and technology.
This year you've announced a number of very significant cross-licensing deals with the likes of Samsung, the likes of Cisco. How significant are those to the business, and can we expect more of them?
Yeah, so Google has, we've embarked on a number of different initiatives with respect to patents. We launched the License on Transfer initiative in July with 4 founding partners. We now have 13 members, and we expect that to continue to roll, and that's where companies agree that if they transfer patents to other parties, they license the people that are members of the community, so it's a community-based license. We have done significant cross-licenses, long-term, multi-generational patent cross-licenses with LG, Samsung, and Cisco have been announced publicly. We've had others, and we continue to develop those. But we're also looking for other ways of finding patent freedom for Google by eliminating or licensing or taking into account the relevant patents to the Google business.
We've seen recently a decline in patent litigation levels, certainly in the US. There's been what looks like the end or the beginning of the end of the smartphone litigation wars. You've had a peace deal announced with Apple. This shift in the market, what's the knock-on effect for licensing from that change in the litigation climate?
It's unclear whether that litigation climate is a permanent fixture, whether it's really reduced or whether it's just a short-term issue. We see legislation is still necessary to help define the marketplace, get some clarity on what's an appropriate damages model. We'd like to see less litigation because we're not a big fan of privateering. We think operating companies can deal with their patent issues themselves by licensing each other or get involved in communities where things can be shared. It's different in the pharmaceutical industries and other things, but in the high-tech and software industries, we find that's important.
And as Google moves into more sectors, the business continues to grow. Automotive is obviously a good example. How early are you involved as the business expands?
Yeah, so we're constantly evolving. Google's a very innovative company. We're in automotive, we're in a lot of different areas, pharmaceuticals. We constantly evolve our strategy based on those businesses. We have a pretty balanced view of the patent, our play with patents, because in some instances where we license our technology, like in the healthcare business, we announced a contact lenses relationship where it was an exclusive licensing relationship. So patents are important there. We see software patents sometimes being lower quality. We want to raise that quality. But we work closely with the businesses to develop those strategies early on, and then we adopt our overall strategy on a consistent basis.
Great. Kirk, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.